What's your first impressions?
Firstly, I'm really pleased it's happening because I understand that this is the last consultation for the local plan, emerging local plan, before it closes on the 22nd of January. And I also understand that this wasn't going to happen without pressure from community groups and our councillors, so that's a really good thing. It's busy, it's really busy up there, and the most important thing with these consultations is that people have their say and that their voices are heard. And I'm here, I've done a lot of canvassing recently, so I know that housing and planning is a big issue, so I'm really pleased to see so many people here today.
What do you think about that kind of scale of housing?
I think that's the thing that I want to look at first. So my issue is that when you look across the housing allocation for the country and look at, considering that we're a rural area, is this the right number of properties to go into an area like ours? But that's something that I need to talk to the government about, because they have a particular formula that they're following. I know that this has been considered and looked at before, but we've got a new government in place now. We've got a really strong environmental push as well for my government, so I really want to see how that joined up thinking is happening, whether we can have a look at the allocation numbers and whether, if we can have that change, then that may affect what the plans are here as well.
Do you think this is an appropriate location for these houses?
I think it's a very difficult one. What I know from the previous rounds of consultations is that local people did not want the kind of garden suburb approach to housing. Local people are sort of saying to me they'd much prefer the I think it's called a dispersal approach, where you're kind of infilling, you're adding properties. So I know that is a preferred approach rather than a big lump of properties. You can see that from a local authority perspective or a government perspective, where they're trying to increase and make sure that there's enough housing for people coming in and wanting to live here, and for the children sort of being able to buy, that a group of housing is happening. So I think it's a very, very difficult issue. I think I'm very keen to see what happens through the results of this consultation, to see if there's any change to the approach of the garden suburb. So
there are different models of dispersal and the kind of single settlement approaches, and you want to see what happens.
I'm interested to see what the next round, this round of consultation comes up with for local people, because if it's still the case that the consultation responses was that they didn't want a garden suburb, and Stroud was saying, Stroud as a constituent was saying no garden suburb, then I think the council should be listening to that and should be thinking quite carefully about it.
Okay, and then finally then, infrastructure, obviously that's an issue everywhere you go.
Yep.
The people who I've spoken to today talked about money for the roads,
yes,
the railway. Do you think that that's credible here? Do you think there might be more money?
I think it would be wrong of me to say that that Berkeley and the Vale is set up to be able to absorb 5,000 houses as it stands. We know that there needs to be a lot more infrastructure work. We know that the junctions on the M5 are already creaking, and there's people queuing to get off those junctions. So I think infrastructure is a big push. Schools, secondary schools as well. That's something that has got to be really carefully looked at. So I'm going to be looking at what responses come out of this consultation. The council will be doing that. You've got brilliant local councillors in Berkeley. I've been there. They're always on to me about a range of issues, and I know that you're well represented here, and the community groups are really strong as well, so I no doubt have more conversations.
So would you push for the infrastructure, things like schools, up front?
I think that's obviously the ideal, but we know from planning applications that's not always the way it works. We're looking at this plan. The emerging local plan is due for, I think, 2030. Is that right? So this is quite a long-term project, but it's absolutely clear that infrastructure needs to be looked at very carefully.